larger culture called Lake USA. And there are a lot of wonderful things about America. But this piece about dishonoring the absent is not one of them. We are losing our way because of this. And there are lots of reasons for that. I want to suggest three. Three major causes for polluting Lake USA. One of them has to do with American humor. Now, you would recognize this woman, Lucille Ball. And you would know the answer to this question. When Lucille told a joke, she made fun of whom?
Herself.
That is the only answer you ever get from that question. Okay, thank you. You can have a seat now. Keep standing if you need to. Right? She made fun of herself, sometimes Desi, her husband. Remember him? All right? Yes, yes, yes. Now, that was the norm of American humor during that time. All the comedians did that, with a few exceptions. I was sharing this with my dear friend Willow, one of my training partners. And she said, Paul, do you realize that kids today in America never have that experience? Have never had that experience of that kind of humor. Almost all humor today is a put-down. Watch any late-night talk show, and somebody who's not there will be blasted. The president, some Republican, some athlete that's been arrested for drunk driving, whatever. I'm not saying we can't disagree with people, but I'm saying we make fun of them habitually. Right? Our kids see that. That's role modeled. Number one. Number two is American politics. Yuck. Right? What's going on? That's called leadership. What's going on there between those two parties? Right? I think they do more damage than the Taliban. That's my personal opinion on our children. They are a bigger threat than when our kids see that, it's called cortisol. Right? We have put our kids in almost a chronic cortisol state of mind. We have put our kids in almost a chronic threat culture because of the negativity. Right? I believe that every culture has its challenge. For my father, it was Hitler. The challenge of my father's generation was Hitler and Nazism. And that generation, at great sacrifice, handled that challenge. Right? Mm-hmm. Yes. My generation is called racism. Now, I don't think that's been solved, but it's a lot better in 2013 than it was in 1963. Right? It was the challenge of our generation. The challenge of the next generation, of our younger people's generation, the challenge of that generation is negativity. And I don't know if they'll solve it. By the way, they didn't create it. But that's going to be the challenge. Can they clean up the lake? Then the third, and I'm a big sports guy, but trash talking never existed when I was a kid. Did any of it go on? Yeah, maybe. Now it is the norm. I mean, you see what's going on with this Miami football team and this stuff? I mean, every day there's another story of this trash or negative. These are three major aspects of American culture: humor, politics, and sports. And it has all gone negative. And our kids live in that lake. Right? So, Lake USA. I don't think we can change that overnight, but when I honor you and you're not here, and we're not saying agree with, we're saying honoring the name of some other, of whoever. We are bringing a gift to the entire culture. So say this with me. Treat everyone's name as sacred. All right? Number 4, what do you see going on here? Gas on the fire. Right? Gas on the fire. So Diane and I are in the faculty lounge, and Diane's complaining about something, and I say, you think that's bad? Let me tell you about, all right? Blah, 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 adding fuel to the fire. Right? Now, here are 2 very simple ways by which we can minimize that. Diane, you look like somebody who's pretty good at complaining. So would you just give me, your husband would agree. Right? Yeah. Complain about him. Give me a sentence. Just complain about something.
Oh, it always makes me work all the time. I got to go home now and rake leaves. I never have any time for myself.
I hear you.
Yeah. You hear it, but you don't say anything, right?
I hear you. That's right. I'm not. You think that's bad? Let me tell you what my wife makes me do. right? And then the kids call, Dad, can you come over and babysit, right? You see, back and forth. But if I just say, I hear you, or I say, okay, it stops the negativity from, it's like a tennis match, but I can say, no, I'm not going to play the tennis game. I can't govern whether or not she's complaining, but when she complains, I can say, okay, or I hear you, right? So, number 4, say it with me. Say, I hear you, or okay, all right? Here's number 5. I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to ask you to yell out the first word that comes to your mind as you see this picture. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ouch. 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 Now that happens, that's what people say all the time when they see this picture. Let me tell you why. The reason why you said ouch is that something in you got activated. It is called compassion. When you saw the picture, you felt what that's like, and you said ouch because compassion got activated in you. Do you know how terribly important that is? Compassion is a sign of our humanity. If people can look at somebody else suffering, whether it's a soccer ball in the nose or whatever, and not feel that, then we are losing our compassion and we are losing our humanity. That's what happened in the story of the Good Samaritan. 2 people rode by, saw the guy in the ditch, and didn't feel it. Off they went. No ouch. The Samaritan said ouch, seeing the guy in the ditch. Ouch. Got down off his donkey, and compassion was activated. Right? We cannot survive on this planet without compassion. In fact, I'm telling kids all over the country that the way to combat negativity is compassion. That's the antidote to negativity, is to feel that suffering or that pain in some other way. So when we're in the faculty lounge and you hear Paul say this to Diane, you know, Diane, this new person, Pepper, this isn't going to work out. She's a lot of energy but clueless about working with kids. Somebody has to say, ouch. Somebody has to say, ouch. That's not happening in our faculty lounges across the country. Right? So when we say ouch, we are bringing a gift to the entire culture. Right? I'm sharing these pieces with you as a way of setting the foundation for hospitality. We have got to create a safe place. That's what hospitality does. These are probably not traditional ways in which we thought of hospitality, but boy, do they establish a welcoming of people, right? As opposed to pushing them away. Now, why would we do that? Why would we say ouch? It's not to embarrass Paul or put him down. 2 reasons. You want to keep Lake, what's your parish name in Vermilion?
St. John's.
St. John's? You want to keep Lake St. John's clean, right? We want to keep Lake Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis clean, right? And the second reason why you want to say ouch to me is, what's your first job?
Help others succeed.
So when you say ouch to Paul, who are you helping? Paul. Because I am not going to be effective in this culture if I have the reputation of bad-mouthing other people. See that? Okay? So can you, in your parish, groups, teams, organizations, can you come to some agreement that whenever we hear dishonoring going on, we're going to support each other by saying ouch, or banana split, you come up with your own word, all right? Can we come to some agreement in our parish on that, that this is how we want to live, right? I am doing training in Fairmont, Minnesota. We were invited there by Chief Greg Brolsma, the police chief. This man is a chief looking over the tribe. There are 11,000 people in Fairmont. We have now trained 3,000 people on this kind of stuff. Kids, adults, business people, senior citizens, you name it. The other day I got an email from Joe Brown, who is the superintendent of schools in Fairmont. He says, Paul, I want to tell you what I just heard. I was talking to so-and-so, and this is a woman who's on the board of the art museum in Fairmont. And she said, this woman came to me and she said, Joe, I'm noticing that people are afraid to talk about other people in Fairmont. I thought, hallelujah. There are certain things that we should be afraid of doing. And bad-mouthing people in our community is one of them. Why? It pollutes Lake Fairmont, where 11,000 people have to live. So what they have taken this on. They are cleaning up the lake there. We can do that in a community of 11,000 people. I'll bet we can do it at St. John's or the diocese, huh? Now, whoa, Catholics operate differently, okay? If we're not, then what difference are we than any other group? So when we say ouch, we're bringing a gift to the entire culture. The last one is practicing the 2 out of 3 rule. There are 3 things I can do. I can say someone's name, I can say something negative, I can say it to someone else. If I do all 3 of those, I'm dishonoring that person. But if I only do 2 out of the 3, I'm not. Watch how this goes. I can say someone's name, I can say it to someone else, I just can't say something negative. You guys, I am so excited about Pepper being on our staff. She's going to bring some new, fresh ideas. We're going to be a better school because of her. Name, others, nothing negative, right? Or I can say something negative, I can say to someone else, I just can't say name. Diane, I am so frustrated. And Diane says, about who? Doesn't matter, I just need to vent. I just need to dump my feelings. Okay? Said something negative, said to someone else, just not name. Or I can say someone's name, I can say something negative, I just can't say it to someone else. So I'm in my classroom by myself. I open the drawer and I say, Pepper is driving me crazy. All right? Now, people always laugh when we give that example, and it's kind of funny, but let me tell you what's ridiculous is for me to talk about Pepper in a negative way to everybody else. Why? I'm now polluting the lake in which we have to live. You see the craziness of that? Right? Yes?
I don't see this one, because if you are saying someone's name and you're saying something negative, you're reaffirming the negative,
Sure.
the negative within yourself.
Yeah. I'm not saying this is the best,
Right.
but it's better than me dumping it. Yes. Yeah. Right. Thank you for that. Now, there are going to be times when professionally we have to do all 3. Again, I'm going to keep this in a school perspective because that's what I know. So let's say these are 7th grade teachers, and I am a 7th grade teacher, and I come to my group. I say, hey, you guys, I'm concerned about Billy Henderson. It's been 4 or 5 days, and Billy hasn't done any homework. And I noticed that his parents didn't come to conferences. If there's anything you think we can do to kind of get Billy back on board, let's talk about that. Did all 3. Honoring or dishonoring? Honoring. All right? Or I could do it this way. You guys, Billy Henderson, no homework, 5 days, and his parents didn't come to conferences. Why do we even let this kid in our school? Honoring or dishonoring? Dishonoring. It's my attitude, right. It's the tone of my voice is different in those. In the first one, I'm problem solving, all right? So here's the other way. If we could say it the way I want people to talk about my children or my family. See, I think there are times when we can talk about problems that other people are involved in a way that we honor them, right? We can still honor that person. And when we do that, we are bringing a gift to the entire culture. Yes?
Something that comes to mind is, I was thinking about this before when we were talking about not naming a name or not, okay, just saying okay or just saying I hear you. To me, and I know sometimes that's probably appropriate, but to me that seems like you're letting that person off the hook.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned, because in my family, we grew up in this thing, you're always backstabbing, competing and all this. Well, what I've learned to turn that around is I always want to identify, is this person just gossiping? Or can I motivate this person to want to help and solve the problem?
Yes.
So instead of just saying, okay, or I hear you, I say, how could we help this person?
Yes.
How can we help?
Absolutely.
And I've seen such incredible results with that, and it's changed the culture,
Yes.
in parts of my family that are
Yes.
the ones that are saying, yeah, I never thought of wanting to help that person.
Yes.
Maybe I should consider
Yes. What's your first name? Mary. Mary's getting to number 4 here. By the way, I don't think say okay or I hear you is the best thing. It's just better than dumping more negativity, okay? But here's what Mary's talking about. Number 4, see the problem, own the problem, okay? Help others succeed, communicate you matter, honor the absent. Number 4 is Mary's principle. See the problem, own the problem. I see somebody in my family who's bad-mouthing others, there's a problem. How can I help that person address this in a more positive way? See the problem, own the problem. I couldn't agree with you more.
And it helps you separate. Because I've got siblings that they just badmouth.
Yes.
They have no interest in helping.
Right.
And those are the ones, it's kind of my litmus test to say, you know what, been incredible, the results.
Yep.
It's been a good way
Yep.
to categorize.
Yep.
Wait until these people over here want it.
Yep. I think this picture describes the American workplace. Right? What's my job? I paint white lines on highways. I don't remove the branches. But what Mary is saying is, Mary removes the branches. Right? Or, as Lily Tomlin said, I always wondered why somebody didn't do something about that, then I realized I was somebody. Mary is recognizing a problem, and she's doing something about it. Right? It's kind of that idea of the football team, and the quarterback fumbles the ball. If you're on that team, what would you do instantly? Go after the ball. Or would you do this? Hey, there he goes again, Diane. Fumbled it. Pepper fumbled the ball again. Second or third time, I don't even know why she's playing quarterback. She must be dating the coach's daughter or son. Yeah. See, that's what we do in the American workplace. We go to the water cooler, we see somebody fumble, we go to the water cooler and we talk about it. Right? Jump on the ball. Right? What happened? Raise your hand if you're going to fumble this year. Anybody here going to fumble? Don't you want somebody on your team to jump on the ball? Yeah. And when you do, you create a culture that just explodes potential. Right? So,
we had a sore elbow.
there you go. Yes. You are such a supportive man, Don. Huh? Don's always bringing positive energy to it. Right? When we're doing those four things, help others succeed, communicate, you matter, honor the absent, see and own the problem, we are bringing positive energy to positive situations, positive energy to negative situations. And when we do that, those four things, we are creating something called trust and safety. And in the atmosphere of trust and safety, my friends, God's potential explodes. The potential of this child, of this group, of this team, of this family, of this Fairmont community, of this parish, right? It explodes in incredible ways. So I'm going to ask you to look at this chart on your handout. You find it? What page is that? Do we have a page number? So the last page. Look at the last page. I'm going to ask you to look at this chart, and I'm going to ask you to think about your community, where you hang out. And I want you to evaluate that community on these four things. So if job one, help others succeed, is significantly present in your group, give it a number of 8 to 10. If it's often present, a 6 to a 7, seldom present, a 4 to a 5, significantly absent, a 1 to a 3. Then do the same thing for these other three things. Give each of those a number relative to how you experience that in your community. And you're coming from different places, but give that a go. Quickly, first reaction. Don't think about it. Give a number. Reaction. First reaction. Would you raise your hand if you have given help others succeed a score of 6 to a 10? 6 to a 10, raise your hand. 6 to a 10. All right, this is not going to be a scientific study, but I think there are 37 people, maybe 10 people have their hands up. All right? Communicate, you matter. A 6 to a 10, raise your hand. Communicate, you matter. All right? Maybe about the same. Honor the absent. If you gave honor the absent a 6 to a 10, raise your hand. See the problem, own the problem. A 6 to a 10, raise your hand. Okay. Now that's out of 37. Now, for the sake of conversation, let's assume that we're all in the same community. Right? And I'm your leader, and we just did this assessment, and I would say to you, hey gang, are you okay with that? What would you say? No, we have a major problem. Right? We have a major problem. Now, I want to share a couple of things with you before we close. That is what results in every group that I have worked with. Church groups, school groups, communities, businesses. All right? These two are often relatively high, and out of 37, it's still very low. That one is always at the bottom of the barrel. Now, I want to ask you to think about this. Even if we were doing these two at that rate, which is still not good, but it's higher than that. If we were really doing these at a 10, wouldn't we also be doing this at a 10? If we're really communicating you matter and helping others succeed, wouldn't we also be honoring the absent at that same level? The answer to that question is yes. So why is there this gap? I'm really curious about that. And I'm really curious about how consistent, I mean, this is like the sun coming up in the east. It happens with every group we've done. So why is there that gap? I don't really know, but I have an opinion. And my opinion is this, that we live in a larger culture called Lake USA, and dishonoring the absent has become so normative, it is habitual, that we don't even know we're doing it as much as we are until some old guy comes in and we start talking about it. Now here's the deal. Again, just assuming we were in the same parish. If I come back 2 weeks from now and we do this assessment again, that number's going up. Why? Because you're aware. And if I come back 6 months from then and do this assessment again, that number is going to be at 2. Why? Because it's your habit. Over time, human beings will always perform at their habitual level. In a moment, they could change that, but it's not going to last. So the question is, can you change a habit? Sure, but not just by being aware. Being aware is important, but it's not sufficient. So in our parish, we could change our habit and raise this number and keep it up if what? Well, if we agreed to say ouch. If we had a sign in our church or wherever that said, honor the absent. If every week somebody in our school or community, depending on the community you're working with, your parish, if every week somebody sent an email to everybody else as a reminder. If we're doing those things not just 1 week, if you're thinking about doing hospitality for 1 week, my friends, give it up. Don't go fishing. This has got to be a real commitment over time. Then we can create something different. You see, Jesus didn't say, you know what, Father, you want me to go down? Okay, I'll go down, hang out with those people, and I'll forgive one guy. No, the Father said, Jesus, I want you to go down and forgive and forgive and forgive, and you're going to end up on the cross. You see the different level of commitment there? It's not a hospitality Sunday. It's hospitality lifestyle. I can't talk about you and be a Christian. Or at least I can't talk about you and behave as a Christian, right? And yet we're doing this, we're dishonoring the people chronically. Now, some of you are coming from smaller communities, Vermilion, some may be from Minneapolis or St. Paul, I don't know. This is a problem in every place in the country. I grew up in Chicago, major problem in Chicago. But there's a difference between Vermilion and Chicago. This problem will be felt more in Vermilion. Why? I see you. I see you in the grocery store. I see you at the gas station. I see you when I go to church. I see you just as I drive home. In Chicago, I can avoid you. Why? There are 4 million people. I never see you until we're in school together. All right? Now, it's still a major problem in Chicago. It's just that it's not felt in the same way. We've got to clean this up. Right? I think when we do, these are broad things that we've been talking about here. But they're things that we all have the power to do.